So we've spent all this time in this series building out alerts and cool things that we can do on the screen and create all of this just chaos and magic and fun and whatever else you want to call it. However, what if there are occasions when you just want the alerts to, shut up? Well, that's easy to fix. So what we're going to do is we are going to come into our chat message handler. And we're going to make ourselves a new command. So just like we've done a few times before, we are going to say else if our current command, so the word array at index 0, and of course we want this to be lowercase, just in case someone puts in other casing other than just all lowercase, is equal to exclamation point pause alerts. Within this command, we are simply going to emit a socket event called, you guessed it, pause alerts, like this. And we're not passing in any data, so we can just pass in an empty string. And that's it there. And then we come down to our socket listeners on the bot itself, and then we add a new listener. So we just say socket.on, and we're going to pass it the arguments of, you guessed it, pause alerts, and a function containing a parameter of alert state, because we are going to get the alert state from the overlay. And then we are just going to have the bot say within our chat the alert message that was passed. So, or the chat message that was passed in for the alert state. So the alert state dot chat message. And that's it for the bot side of things. So hop on over to your overlay and then scroll up to the top. And right under your alerts running boolean, you want to have a new variable called alerts paused. And that is going to start out being equal to false. So this is going to determine if the alerts are paused or not. And then open up your run alert queue and your run channel point queue functions, or anything that you actually just want to pause. And then within the set interval, what we want to do is we want to say if the alert queue is empty or the alerts paused is true. So we could still have elements in the alert queue array, but if we pause alerts, we want to stop them in their tracks and then resume them later. So we do that in the run alert queue. And then if you also set up the channel point queue, you can come down and do the same thing in the interval. So if the channel point queue is empty, or if the alerts paused is equal to true, then stop the current queue. And also we want to prevent the queues from starting at all. So we go into our Twitch webhook event listener here, open up our huge multi-conditional statement here, and then on line 190, we want to say that if the alert running is false, so meaning that no alerts are running, and if the alerts are not paused, so also if the alerts paused is also false. So first we're checking to see if the alerts queue is currently running, and then we're checking to see if the alerts are paused. So if either of these, so if both of these are false, then we run the alert queue. And then we do the same thing in the channel point alert queue. So we come down to line 216 and we do the same thing. So we say if the channel point queue running is false and the alerts paused is false, then we will run the channel point queue as well. And then once we are done with this, we need to create a new socket listener for the overlay itself to handle when alerts are paused. So we're going to say socket.on, which is going to take in two arguments, and you can probably guess by now what the event that we're listening for is, so pause alerts and the function, which we don't need any parameters for this function, so we can just move on. And within this function, we are going to flip the current value of the alerts paused variable. So we're just going to say the alerts paused variable is now equal to the opposite of what the alerts paused variable is. So we just say not alerts paused, which is just a flipping of the value. This works very cleanly with Booleans. So just adding in the not logical operator will flip the value. And then we want to say that if the alerts paused value is false, meaning that this is a situation where we have paused the alerts and now we have resumed them. So if the alerts paused variable is false, what we want to do is we want to say that if the alert queue dot length is greater than 0, then we want to resume playing arrays. We want to resume playing alerts, because if we pause the alerts in the middle of an alert queue, there are still alerts waiting to be played. Or if we pause them before an alert queue was running, then the queue has just been piling up. So in this case, we say alerts running is now equal to true, and then we want to run the alert queue. And in the same way, we want to say that if the channel point queue length is greater than 0, meaning that we still have channel point alerts to show, we want to do something very similar. So we want to say the channel point alert queue emote. I was doing the emote video last time. Variable is equal to true. And then we want to run the channel point queue. And once we've done all this, we want to send a message to the bot of what state the alerts are currently in. So we want to do a socket emit, and we are admitting the event of, you guessed it, pause alerts, and a JSON object that contains a single attribute. We're just going to call it chat message. And this is going to be equal to alerts have in space, and we're going to put a ternary if statement right here. So a plus and then parentheses, and put our semicolon right here. So we're going to say if the alerts pause variable is true, then we're going to say the alerts have been paused. Otherwise, we're going to say the alerts have resumed. And I messed up. You don't actually need a semicolon right here. And that is everything that you need to know in order to pause alerts on your stream. So now, whenever you put in the exclamation point pause alerts command, your chatbot will first spit out saying that the alerts have been paused. And then once you do it again, it will say that the alerts have resumed. And then once your alerts have resumed, whatever alerts that have been piling up since you paused it will then play. So in the next video, I'm not actually sure what we're going to be doing yet. I'm quickly running out of things to do for this Build a Twitch Bot from Scratch series. So the video above my head will either be something entirely different, or it will be something within the Build a Twitch Bot from Scratch series. So you'll just have to click it and find out what it is. Like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.